want a war? You're gonna get one.
Well, look who's back. Welcome back to Reliving the War, Soldier, and welcome to the 22nd and 23rd of January 2001. Raw's in Lafayette, Louisiana, while Nitro's in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Nitro's also on a Tuesday, by the way. Hopefully, you checked out the Royal Rumble 2001 video. It was a fantastic pay-per-view, and we're now at the point of no return. Steve Austin's going to headline WrestleMania 17, meaning Austin's going to be in the final match of Reliving the War. Nitro kicks off this week with a replay from last week. It's Team Flair sitting in the back watching Sid's leg snap from the Sin pay-per-view. These boys are finding great joy in Sid's misfortune, but they really shouldn't be so happy because every one of these guys could be out of a job very soon. We go to Tony Schiavone and Scott Hudson for the usual show open, and Tony drops a bombshell that should make you soldiers get ready to go home and see your loved ones because the war is almost over.
We're going to open WCW Nitro on this very special Tuesday night with a news item. Many of you may already know that WCW has new owners. The transaction right now in process. We are in the transition period of new owners in World Championship Wrestling. We don't know what changes will take place. We don't know what's going to happen in the next few weeks.
For those wondering, Schiavone isn't referring to the WWF buying WCW. A week prior, federal regulators officially approved the AOL Time Warner merger, and in preparation for the merger and as a way to trim costs, they confirmed the sale of World Championship Wrestling. Right now, an investment group named Fusion Media Ventures have, in principle, purchased the WCW operation, with TBS maintaining a minority interest along with long-term programming rights. Eric Bischoff is part of Fusion Media Ventures. Negotiations are ongoing, but this still means WCW's in limbo, just like Tony Schiavone said right here at the beginning of Nitro. I'll update this as the weeks go on, but all you need to know right now is that WCW is definitely getting sold. Those trying to buy it want to keep WCW on TNT, and in order to do that, Fusion Media have included the time slot into their purchase contract. We begin this week with promos. Triple H on Raw, surprise surprise, and Ric Flair over on Nitro. Triple H is wearing his famous denim leather jacket and tracksuit bottoms combo for the very first time, ladies and gents. A monumental day indeed. Hunter says he was looking forward to coming to the Cajun Dome for a long time because tonight was supposed to be his night. He was supposed to be standing here as the WWF champion, but things went a bit pear-shaped at the Royal Rumble thanks to Stone Cold Steve Austin. Austin attacked Hunter during his title match against Kurt Angle, and, well, Hunter's here tonight empty-handed. But cheer up, Game Boy, you've still got your lovely wife. Hunter blobbers on about having Angle beat before Austin showed up. He says he got screwed over at the pay-per-view, and Triple H is sick and tired of Stone Cold. So, as soon as Austin shows up at Raw tonight, Hunter's going to give him a good old-fashioned seeing to, and he's going to use his trusty sledgehammer. Here comes Kurt Angle saying Triple H should really be called Triple W. Triple W standing for wah 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 and not weak wimpy wank job. Angle says it wasn't Austin who cost Triple H the WWF title, it was Kurt Angle himself. It was Angle who pinned the game, it was Angle who won the match, and it's not Angle's fault that Austin and everyone else hates Triple H so much. Triple H shouldn't cry over spilt milk, he should drink it like Kurt Angle. But Triple H is not in the mood for jokes, he wants to take Kurt's head off with his sledgehammer. Kurt says Hunter needs to use weapons because he can't win matches with natural ability, so Hunter says he'll drop his sledgehammer after he caves Austin's skull in and he'll happily wrestle Angle one-on-one again for the WWF title. Kurt accepts this challenge, but then Trish Stratus comes out to issue a challenge of her own. Trish wants to fight Stephanie McMahon one-on-one, and you know where this is going, don't you? Stephanie says she's happy to oblige, seeing as Trish is desperate to get her hands on a McMahon. Know what I'm saying? Steph says she's going to make Trish her bitch tonight on Raw. Say that 5 times fast. But hold the phone, boyos, because Vince McMahon just arrived at the arena and McMahon reminds Michael Cole that he's in charge and it's Vince McMahon who books matches. In regards to Triple H versus Angle and Stephanie versus Trish, Vince says these matches may happen, but they also may not happen. Over on Nitro, Ric Flair comes out with Road Warrior Animal, Buff Bagwell and Lex Luger. Rick says he surrounds himself with greatness because it keeps the Nature Boy himself great, and I don't know about that, especially considering the men who are currently in the ring right now with the CEO. According to Rick, Scott Steiner and Double J are on their way to the building. The Nature Boy then promotes the next pay-per-view, Super Brawl Revenge, by saying it's the biggest pay-per-view ever put on by WCW, and yes, he said the exact same thing about Sin a few weeks ago. Flair says he considered putting Goldberg in the Super Brawl Revenge main event, but whoopsie, Goldberg isn't here anymore. He then thought about putting Sid in the main event, but old Hopalong probably can't work a wrestling match right now. So Rick had to find a great number 1 contender for the pay-per-view, and Jesus Christ, he actually delivered.
Alex Wright.
Alex Wright!
Oh, Alex, slap us with your big German sausage one more time.
Oh, big bratwurst.
Tony Jabroni says Alex isn't worthy of a title shot, but Tony always has been a bit of a moron. Alex wants to cut a promo after swinging his German sausage around, but Kevin Nash shows up to ruin all the fun. Alex gets annoyed at this blatant disrespect. He punches Nash in the face, and our number 1 contender pays for this dearly. Nash lays in a forearm, he sets Alex up for a jackknife, Das Wunderkind gets powerbombed through the stage, and Kevin says he's now the number 1 contender. Man, Super Brawl Revenge would have been awesome if Alex was in the main event, but nah, let's just run back another match we've seen a million times. Actually, let's run back a match we saw in last week's Nitro main event. Fucking great idea. Rick says he's not giving Nash a title shot at Super Brawl Revenge, and this, of course, prompts Commissioner Cat to show up. The Cat says Kevin Nash vs Big Papa Dump's already been booked, but Flair puts up a roadblock. The match will only happen if Nash beats Bagwell tonight in the Nitro main event, and Lex Luger's gonna be the referee. Cat says that might be an issue, seeing as Lex Luger's already booked in a match against this man right here, Diamond Dallas Page. So whoever wins that match will go on to officiate the main event. Flair says that's all good and he'll do things the right way by barring both Nash and Bagwell from ringside during DDP vs Luger. And Kev wraps up by saying he's going to take Scott's championship at Super Brawl and he's going to drive a stake through the hearts of Team Flair. After the promo, Steiner and Jarrett arrive. The Nature Boy's a bit on edge after what just happened, so he brings the boys into the CEO's office for a chat. Triple H approaches Vince McMahon and the game isn't happy that Vince is considering not booking the WWF title rematch for tonight. Hunter thinks Vince only has Trish on his mind here and he wonders what head Vince is thinking with right now. But McMahon tells Hunter to get his gear ready. There is a chance the WWF title match will take place tonight, he's just not 100% sure right now. Hunter complains to Stephanie. He says this whole thing stinks and Stephanie explains that her dad just doesn't like being told what to do. Steph seems surprised though that Vince didn't even mention her match against Trish, so Hunter tells his wife to go and talk to her dad while the game goes out hunting for Steve Austin. Next up, we've got William Regal defending his European title against Test while Nitro presents, get this, Mike Modest versus the fallen angel Christopher Daniels. Regal says that miserable little specimen known as Test has been a thorn in his side recently. Their rivalry has mainly played out on SmackDown by the way, but Regal issues an apology to his fans because Test is going to feel like he's been hacked up with a hatchet after the champ's through with him tonight. So here comes Test running to the ring and here's Regal taking a few punches to the head, a back body drop and a clothesline that forces the champ out of the ring. Regal gets his head whacked off the announce table and we can see Test is wearing an armband that says Morley on it. This was in reference to Val Venus' mother who passed away that morning. Back in the ring, Regal's attempt at fighting back doesn't work at all. He takes a big boot, he gets slammed to the mat, and Test wins the European title after his flying elbow drop. It was a 1.5 minute squash match, and William Regal didn't deserve such besmirching on live TV. So over on Nitro, you might remember Mike Modest from the Beyond the Mat documentary or that Pro Wrestling Exposed TV show. Many of you know who Christopher Daniels is, but interestingly, this isn't the first time he's been on Reliving the War. Remember Lampshade Man who was given Vampiro orders? Yeah, that was Christopher Daniels. That storyline fell through, of course. Daniels is wrestling as the fallen angel here like he did during his stint on the WWF undercard, but you do gotta question WCW's decision to put these two in the ring together on a Monday night, especially as they're both relatively unknown to casual fans. Even worse, Daniels botches a springboard move and he lands right on his head. The crowd gasped when this happened and Daniels was extremely lucky here. This could have been bad. Still, he got it together and he tried to impress WCW fans, as did Modest to be fair. Daniels pulled off a fantastic double level moonsault, Modest pulled off a variation of white noise. Daniels answered with a Tiger Bomb and both guys ended up on the outside where our match came to an abrupt end. Scotty Steiner's music played and the world champ dashed down to the ring. Scott proceeds to absolutely destroy the two newcomers and Big Papa Pump uses his big lead pipe to dish out some knee injuries. Scott grabs a mic, he once again takes credit for breaking Sid's leg. He totally lies when he says Sid jumped off the top rope and he hit the sexy chest of the genetic freak which caused Sid's leg to snap in half. And so Steiner's giving Sid a present. He's sending these two jabronis in the ring to the same hospital the big man's at so he has some people to talk to. Sting's gone thanks to Scott, Booker T's gone because of Scott, Sid's clearly out of action for a while, and next on the injury list is big sexy Kevin Nash. Kwee Wee and Paisley came to the ring and Mr. Wee said he's all man. He wouldn't have a lady like Paisley if he wasn't all man. Kwee Wee then challenges anyone to step into the ring with him and he ends up challenging a random security guy to get in the ring. In case you're wondering, which I'm sure you're not, but just in case, Rick Steiner embarrassed Kwee Wee on Thunder and our spiky haired friend has something to prove. The security guy gets beaten up badly and the other security goons have to come in and save the poor chap, so I guess Kwee Wee proved his point. On Raw, the APA and the Hardys had a tag team match, babyface on babyface violence, ladies and gents, and the commentators had a real hard time keeping track of the action and they struggled to work out who the legal men were. The Hardy Boys also had trouble trying to keep track of who were supposed to be the legal men and they were in the damn match. So yeah, it was pretty chaotic and Jeff thought he had the match won after he delivered a swanton on Bradshaw. Farouk then came in and he hit Jeffrey with a Dominator and this allowed the APA to score a pinfall win. JR reminds us that the Hardys also had issues on SmackDown trying to keep track of who was the legal man, so some problems perhaps within Team Extreme. Next up, Stephanie talks to Mr. McMahon and we're also going to hear from The Rock. On Nitro, Lance Storm takes on Konnan. Stephanie notices that her dad's dressing a little hipper and a little cooler these days, but I don't know, he looks like a big wrinkly cappuccino to me. But anyway, Steph tries to get the Angle vs Triple H match booked and Mr. McMahon says he still hasn't made up his mind. He didn't say it wouldn't happen, he's just keeping us all in suspense or something. Stephanie wonders about her match against Trish and Vince says he's worried about Steph's well-being. Vince doesn't want his daughter to get hurt, but Steph says, nah, this is all about Vince being more worried about Trish's well-being and McMahon's all like, watch your fucking mouth, little lady. Vince is still adamant about being fair, he wants to do what's right. He tells Stephanie to go get ready to compete because just like Angle vs Triple H, Stephanie vs Trish is still under advisement. The Rock got interviewed earlier on and he says he's disappointed. He wanted to win the Royal Rumble but he ran into a roadblock named The Big Show. Rock managed to eliminate the returning giant but it came at a cost. Big Show chokeslammed Rock through a table and he seriously hurt the Great One, but Rock still got back in the match and he made it to the final three. This of course wasn't good enough and Rock has possibly lost his chance at main event in WrestleMania. Rock congratulates Steve Austin, he respects Stone Cold, but Austin's Rumble win is irrelevant to Rocky because it wasn't Rock who won the Rumble. So the Great One has a new goal, he wants to become WWF Champion. It could be before WrestleMania, it could be after, but Rock says one day he will be WWF Champion once again. On Nitro, we get a look at Mike Awesome's new haircut. Looking good, big man. Lance Storm challenges Konnan to a match to end this rivalry once and for all, and Lance says his chances are pretty good seeing as Canada's never lost a war. Yeah. The Animals come down and Konnan says Canada's a bit confused. Some speak English, some speak French, but K-Dog had a premonition that one day everyone in Canada is going to speak like this. So I guess if K-Dog beats Storm tonight on Nitro, all of Canada will become Mexican. Some mat wrestling to get us underway as both men frolic around on the canvas. Schiavone struggles to keep up here, but enjoy this while it lasts, folks, because this is about the only wrestling we'll see in this match. K-Dog performs his rolling clothesline, and then there's a lot of nonsense going on outside the ring. Tigris and Major Guns fight, Kidman and Ray fight with Mike Awesome in primetime, and Konnan finds himself in the Canadian Maple Leaf. K-Dog gives it up, so let's get this straight. This is the end of the Animals versus Team Canada rivalry, right? It's been going on for a lot of weeks, and it even included a pay-per-view match. You mean to tell me Konnan just submits after 1 minute and 46 seconds of action to end this war? I mean, I suppose I shouldn't complain. This feud wasn't going anywhere, but it's not like we can look forward to both teams moving on to bigger and better things. They'll just end up in more pointless rivalries that do nothing to progress their overall storylines. Shane Douglas wants to join Team Flair. He approaches Luger and Bagwell to inquire about membership, and the boys tell the franchise to shit in his hands and clap. Douglas refuses, so plan B is to take out Ernest Miller. If Shane can beat Miller, then he's part of the team with no name. That match is coming up later on, but right now we've got Lex Luger versus Diamond Dallas Page, while Raw presents Big Show and Chris Benoit taking on The Rock and Chris Jericho. Loads of dicking about on Nitro before the two lock up, including Luger giving Tony Schiavone a geometry lesson before getting in the ring. Tony looks at Lex as if to say, "I've no idea what drugs you've taken today, but please, may I have some?" When the match does begin, it's a hammerlock from Page that gets released after a rope break and a punch to the head that sends Lex back to the outside. So go ahead and grab a coffee, roll a joint, do whatever you need to do because we've got all the time in the world, people. The match resumes with a swinging neckbreaker from DDP as Scott Hudson questions the credentials of one Mr. Alex Wright, and yeah, I can't believe Alex got a main event pay-per-view match taken away from him like that earlier on. You guys keep commenting on different episodes of Reliving the War about this was the final nail in the coffin for WCW, or that was the final nail in the coffin, you know, but you were all wrong. That nail in the coffin was Kevin Nash delivering a jackknife to Das Wunderkind on the 23rd of January 2001. Lex is in control now, and he's boring everyone to tears by delivering forearm shots to DDP's back. Dallas then takes a few clotheslines, and Lex does get a bit of crowd heat by posing in the ring, though Page comes back with a few punches in the corner before Lex's wee package gets well acquainted with the ring post. Dallas delivers a top rope shoulder tackle before signaling for the diamond cutter. Here's Double J Jeff Jarrett to hit Page with his guitar. Dallas then finds himself in the torture rack, so thanks for coming, DDP. Lex is our match winner, and that means Lex is going to officiate the Bagwell vs Nash main event match. Containing my excitement for that one is so freaking difficult. On Raw, it's a star-studded tag team match, and we've got the Raw return of the Big Show. He shows his strength early on with a big press slam to Jericho before Benoit comes in for a kitchen sink. And what a match these two had at the Rumble, eh? It's so nice to close out Reliving the War with some good matches, even if they all end up coming from the WWF side. In comes Rock for a few punches to Benoit, followed by a Samoan drop. Rocky then performs his overhead throw, and he even takes a moment to smack the Big Show around, though this ended up costing him. Benoit performs a back suplex while Jericho attempts to fight the Big Show on the outside, though the IC champion ends up taking a chokeslam, and that means Rock's going to be left all on his own for a while. The heels use this time to wear Rocky out, and it looks like Y2J is actually done in this match. Officials are taking Chris back up the ramp, so Rocky's now easy pickings for Benoit and Big Show. A snap suplex from Benoit gets followed up with multiple German suplexes. The crippler then goes upstairs and we see his signature headbutt, but it's not enough to put Rocky away. When Big Show tags in, Rock's able to fight back and the big man goes down after a few right hands and a jumping clothesline. And when Benoit comes back in, he too gets taken out with a DDT and a spine buster. It's all going a bit too well here, so Big Show pulls Rock out of the ring and the big man takes a ring bell to the face for his efforts. This should keep Big Show out of the match for a while, but back in the ring, Benoit applies the crossface. Rock does manage to make it to the ropes however, so the fight continues on. Pretty good match here by the way, nothing special in terms of what's going on in the ring, but the way it's been laid out has been pretty fun. Benoit gets sent to the outside, and here comes Chris Jericho hobbling down the ramp like the hero he is. He goes after Benoit and he sends him into the ring steps, and this softens Benoit up just enough to take a rock bottom back inside the ring. The Rock wins and the crowd goes nuts. Big Show wakes up and he's not going to let the babyfaces celebrate. Rock and Jericho both take chokeslams, and seeing as Benoit is all upset with his tag team partner being absent during the end of the match, the Crippler takes a chokeslam too. Don't mess with a 7-foot giant wearing a jobber shirt, ladies and gents. It won't end well. Kurt Angle's getting a bit anxious about potentially defending his belt tonight on Raw, but Trish says don't worry about it. She's going to go and talk to Vince, and Trish is going to give Vince all the advisement he needs. My God. On Raw next, we've got Ivory defending her women's championship against Molly Holly. On Nitro, it's the Mamalukes versus Mark Jindrak and Shawn Stasiak. Gonna be honest, I'd much rather watch Jindrak and O'Haire teaming up rather than Jindrak and Stasiak, but what can you do, eh? The Mamalukes are a tag team that flourished a whole lot more under the Vince Russo regime, seeing as they got more promo time and they got involved in a lot of skits. Now they just feel like any other tag team. The Mamalukes are in control early on and they still work well as a team, though Jindrak slows Johnny down with a springboard clothesline. Stasiak and Vito take over and Shawn finds himself taking a big old power slam, though he comes back with a jumping back elbow as Scott Hudson talks about the recent division within the Natural Born Thrillers. Palumbo and O'Haire are the tag team champions, and maybe Jindrak and Stasiak are feeling a bit jealous. Big lion salt from Jindrak that only gets a 2. The Thrillers pull off a double sidewalk slam and stereo kip-ups, which seriously impresses Tony Schiavone. Vito and Jindrak lock arms and they both go down before needing to tag out. So in comes Stasiak and Johnny for the match finish. Johnny looks for a military press, and while initially it is pretty impressive, the way he drops Mark looks a bit reckless, though this leads to Stasiak wiping Johnny out while Vito puts Stasiak down with a super kick. Stasiak and Vito get covered. Palumbo and O'Haire come out to tell the referee to count Johnny's shoulders to the mat. The ref then gets pushed, and this results in Scott Armstrong calling for the bell. So the Mamalukes win via disqualification, and this causes even more tension within the Natural Born Thrillers. After the match, we go backstage where the Thrillers continue their argument, and Mike Sanders looks a bit overwhelmed, but he gets some advice from Ric Flair. Rick tells Mike he needs to stand back, understand what's going on, and outthink his own boys if he has to. Not sure how this helps, seeing as Sean O'Haire wants to beat 7 shades of shit out of Shawn Stasiak, but I'm sure Mike will take this advice on board, and I don't know, he'll turn on a few of his boys or something. Ivory's feeling the effects of her match with Chyna last night at the Rumble, but she's holding Chyna's book in the ring, and she says she had a look at the book after her big Royal Rumble victory. Ivory says there's a big part of the autobiography that's missing, the part about Ivory, the self-proclaimed 10th wonder of the world, putting Chyna out of pro wrestling for good. Molly Holly wonders if Ivory ever gets tired of hearing herself talk, and she's going to do us all a favour by shutting the women's champion up for good. So Molly runs down and she goes to work with a few wristlock takedowns and a few chops. Ivory fires back with a hair pull takedown. She drops a leg on her opponent, Hulk Hogan style, brother, though Molly replies with a Northern Light suplex that makes Stevie Richards get on the apron. Crash Holly goes after Richards, but this of course leads to the referee taking his eyes off the match, and when Molly goes for a top rope move, Stevie pulls her down, and that's going to be the end of our match. Ivory wins via pinfall, and it kind of feels like we haven't seen Molly Holly at her best yet in the WWF. She hasn't really been put in any long singles matches, but you could say that about most women in the WWF during this era. Triple H is waiting outside for Steve Austin to show up. The game's got a sledgehammer and he's ready for war. Trish Stratus, meanwhile, is knocking on Vince McMahon's door, and she's going to use her talents to get the WWF title match called off. Next up, we've got Kane versus Rikishi on Raw, while Shane Douglas takes on Ernest Miller on Nitro. And for once, the Shane Douglas pre-match promo is actually kinda worth listening to. He talks about his old rivalry with Ric Flair, a rivalry that WCW did not capitalise on by any stretch of the imagination. Though right now, for the first time ever, Ric Flair and Shane Douglas have something in common. They both want to take Ernest Miller out for good. It was only worth listening to because Shane isn't delivering generic heel promo number 27 for another week, and at least he's mentioning his troubled past with WCW's current CEO. Shane says he's going to franchise the cat. The cat says, "Did you just say you want to French fry me?" before booking a match for Super Brawl Revenge. It's going to be Diamond Dallas Page versus Jeff Jarrett. And yeah, take it away, Santa Claus Helmsley.
Right, that's going to be a good little piece of business.
Miller says he's going to win the US Championship in this next match. This prompts Ric Flair to show up on the Turner Vision, and he announces the US title is not on the line, and instead it's an ODQ match for the WCW Commissionership. So the franchise attacks Miller with his microphone and gets at an immediate disadvantage. Shane performs a Muda Lock, kinda, which doesn't get a submission victory, and when he tries a top rope move, he gets launched to the mat by the WCW Commissioner. Cat fires up a bit, Shane gets his head rocked off the top, middle and bottom turnbuckles. Shane takes a back body drop and it looks like he's now in trouble. So here comes Mike Sanders trying to cause some problems for Ernest Miller. The Cat makes easy work of Mike and the former commissioner gets sent outside. So Sean O'Hare comes out to try his luck, and to his credit, he does a much better job. Rick Steiner tries to even the odds when he shows up, and even though he takes a jawbreaker, he still manages to stop Shane from using his little chain. So Miller kicks Shane in the head, he wins via pinfall, and after the bout, Rick and Sean fight on the outside while Miller celebrates in the ring. The dog-faced gremlin takes care of Sean, and he gets in the ring so he can have a little dance with Ernest and Miss Jones. WCW may be getting bought out very soon, but at least these guys can still cut a rug while forgetting about all their problems. Over on Raw, I guess a Kane vs Rikishi match confirms that Kane is once again a babyface, so I'm feeling totally vindicated. I said the moment it happened that Kane's most recent heel turn was a bad idea, and absolutely nothing came of it. Very basic stuff here with the match beginning on the outside. Rikishi gets the upper hand, and in the ring the Big Goose performs a leg drop followed by his corner hip attack. Kane falls in position for the stink face. The devil's favourite demon's gonna get a shitty mask, but thankfully he manages to get a boot up, and after a clothesline the Big Red Machine flies through the air with his diving clothesline. Kane lines up a chokeslam, Rikishi goes for a ride, and that should be the match all over. But here comes the manliest man on planet Earth, Haku. He got to the ring way too late and Rikishi had to kick out of Kane's cover, but that's neither here nor there, and I'm certainly not going to criticise Haku for anything he does in life. I'm not that dumb. Kane's on the receiving end of a bloodline beatdown and the Big Red Machine needs help. So The Undertaker shows up and the Brothers of Destruction make easy work of Rikishi and Haku. Haku gets sent to the outside, Rikishi takes a double chokeslam, and this gives fans further confirmation that the Brothers of Destruction are back together. I mean, it's not official, but come on, after the Rumble and after what happened here, I'd say the boys are back in town. Rikishi challenges The Undertaker to a no-holds-barred match on SmackDown while spitting all over Kevin Kelly. Say it, don't spray it, big man. Also just realising that Steve Blackman and Haku are on the same roster right now. This could be really fucking good. Lowdown finally got some TV time when they got a shot at the Dudley Boys' recently acquired tag team championships. Tiger Ali Singh joined the commentary table, so at least he got some work too, I suppose. The match felt like a waste of time because we all know Lowdown were not going to win the belts. Chaz takes the was up headbutt, the tables get put in the ring. Lowdown try to use the tag team titles to do some damage, but this backfires when Bubba takes the belt away and D'Lo gets whacked. Lowdown win via disqualification, but to cheer the fans up a little, Tiger Ali Singh takes a 3D through the table. We then go backstage where Trish comes out of Vince McMahon's dressing room. She looks a bit disheveled and she almost forgets her hat too. You can't forget that. So I guess the deed has been done and maybe Kurt Angle won't be defending his WWF title after all. Michael Cole says we'll hear what McMahon's decision is after our next match, and that match is Raven defending his hardcore belt against Al Snow while Hugh Morrus and Lash LeRoux take on The Wall and Chavo Guerrero on Nitro. Yep, the MIA is no more. The Wall turned on Morrus on the last episode of Thunder, so everyone's back to using their old names. Chavo asked Ric Flair to book this match. This was confirmed earlier on by Mike Sanders. And Hugh Morrus? Well, this idiot's wearing a WCW backstage assault bandana and its shittiness has seeped into his brain. It was during this promo earlier on where Morrus confirmed the MIA was done, and Morrus revealed that his old gimmick was back, which was supposed to get a big reaction I guess, but nobody cared. It's not like the Hugh Morrus character was mega successful or anything, you know what I mean? Honestly, the action was pretty good here when The Wall wasn't in the ring. He did take a big power slam from the funny man, but things picked up quite a bit when Lash and Chavo went to work. Chavo pulled off a pretty sweet arm drag while Lash delivered a tilt-a-whirl sidewalk slam followed by a jumping leg lariat. Though there was a slight mistake when Chavo tried a powerbomb and he couldn't keep Lash up. Still though, he made up for it with a missile dropkick. The match ended pretty unceremoniously when Morrus and Wall fought on the outside. Chavo rolled Lash up with a schoolboy pin, and just like that, the heel team gets the 1-2-3. Sore loser Hugh Morrus attacks Chavo after the bell. Chavito gets dumped out of the ring, but joke's on you, pal, because Chavo's still the Cruiserweight champion while you're still an arsehole. In no time at all, we're going under the entrance stage on Raw as Al Snow tries to win the Hardcore Championship. Remember, Raven dropped that cinder block on Al's head, so the Snowman's looking a little revenge. While both men are under the stage, a pyro goes off, and this pyro has seemingly done some serious damage to Raven. We didn't see exactly what damage was done because that would be silly, ladies and gents. It mustn't have been that bad though, because the two guys get up and they fight to the backstage area while Raven sets off a fire extinguisher. The guys end up in the catering area and Jerry Lawler gets very upset when the boys start wasting food, and we then travel outside the arena where our match comes to an end. Snow chokes Raven with what looks like to be an oar, and he reminds Raven about how he put him out of action. After striking him with that oar, Snow covers Raven. The referee realizes Raven's got his shoulder up and he makes Al cover his opponent again, and this seemed to annoy Snow quite a bit, though he still gets the 1-2-3. Raven's little helper then attacks Al from behind with a 2x4. We can't see who it is, but it's definitely a female. And this attack allows Raven to cover Snow, win his hardcore belt back, and go driving off into the night with his female ninja friend behind the wheel. A bad night for Al Snow, but what's new? Vince McMahon's made his decision. He's protecting his mistress and his daughter by booking a mixed tag team match. Kurt Angle and Trish taking on Triple H and Stephanie. Hunter, who's still waiting on Steve Austin showing up, gets informed of this match by Stephanie and he goes a bit mental. This is not the match Triple H wanted and he's going to take it out on Kurt Angle. So that's our Raw main event in place, while Nitro ends this week with Kevin Nash taking on Buff Bagwell. Lex Luger's our special referee, but we all know Kevin's not going to lose this match. Lex says he's going to call it right down the middle because this is a very serious job, so serious that he didn't bother wearing a referee shirt. Luger says he'll raise the winner's hand no matter who gets the 1-2-3. Fans now wait for Kevin Nash to make his entrance, and oh, Lex is wearing a referee shirt. Silly me, don't I look like a total idiot? We begin with a knee strike from Big Sexy and we immediately go to Nash's favourite place in the entire world, the corner. Lex tries to break things up and he's unsuccessful at first, though when Kev starts choking Buff out, Lex once again grabs a hold of the big man and Bagwell's able to escape. To be honest, this was totally fine. It was an illegal choke after all. What's not so fine is Luger holding Nash's foot while Buff pulled the top rope right into Nash's wee daddy cool. Buff's gonna fight dirty now, and Lex seemingly forgets the assignment when Bagwell covers his opponent. Lex takes a lifetime to make the count, and even Bagwell wonders what the hell Lex is doing. Time for a big old main event chinlock, though it's hard to enjoy this one due to the communication happening between the competitors. The men get to their feet, Bagwell can't knock Nash down, so Buff takes a sidewalk slam, snake eyes, and a big boot. Lex makes an incredibly slow count and he says a shoulder was up when it really wasn't. So Kev goes after our match official and he takes a low blow for his efforts. Bagwell capitalizes with a swinging neckbreaker. It's a fast count from Lex here, but Nash still kicks out. Buff Daddy grabs a chair and Lex takes it off him, though he conveniently holds it in place for a Buff Bagwell dropkick. Lex then helps Kev to his feet for a blockbuster, but Nash avoids the move. Here comes DDP from the audience to take the referee out of the match with a diamond cutter, and our main event ends with Kevin performing a jackknife on Bagwell. Kev grabs Lex's hand and he slaps it to the mat for the 1-2-3. So Kevin Nash is going to Super Brawl Revenge to face the champion who gets in the ring right here to attack Kev with his big lead pipe. Nitro ends with DDP trying to help Nash again before Road Warrior Animal also makes an appearance, and so Chronic run down to help the insiders before the show fades to black. Yeah, dudes, I know we've been doing this for a long time and I know I've been part of your life every week for the past 5+ years, but this series needs to end. It really does. Our Raw match begins with Triple H and Kurt Angle doing all the heavy lifting. The game and the WWF Champion fight on the outside with Angle getting wrecked, and Triple H is once again going to focus on Angle's knee. The champ takes a knee breaker, he takes further damage in the corner as Steph shoots Trish a dirty look, though Angle gets a break after a swinging neck breaker and he tags in Trish. Trish wants to try a top rope move, she gets caught out by the game. Angle helps his partner with some dropkick action, and now Stephanie's absolutely fuming. She gets in the ring, she goes after Trish, and the crowd gasp as Angle shoves Little Miss McMahon to the mat. Even Kurt can't believe what he just did and he wants to help Stephanie to her feet. But this goodwill gesture results in Angle getting smacked in the face, and Triple H gets in on the action too. Steph goes back to her corner, Angle performs a belly to belly on Triple H, Trish gets tagged in once again, seeing as Angle's knees totally wrecked, and Trish once again tries a top rope move. She ends up getting thrown off by Stephanie, and the crowd goes nuts when Trish and Steph slap each other around. So what we've got here is proof that you don't need to put on a 5-star classic to get a good crowd reaction. I mean, the stuff we're seeing in the ring right now is terrible, and Stephanie has absolutely no place inside a wrestling ring, but you can't argue with the crowd response. Stephanie performs a short arm clothesline while looking very awkward. Angle and Hunter continue fighting outside the ring as Trish makes a comeback. Little Miss McMahon takes a bulldog and Hunter has to get in the ring to break up the cover. So it's time for Trish Stratus to take a pedigree, which again gets a good crowd reaction. Steph covers Trish for the 1-2-3, and I know this was very much a story-driven main event, but it was also a weird main event that kinda sucked. Like, it 100% served its purpose and the fans loved it, but after Angle vs Triple H at the Royal Rumble and after other main events we have watched on Raw, this one got dragged way down due to Steph and Trish. I do like both women, by the way, I'm not having a go, but to put it simply, you can't tell me this match was good. Steve Austin appears to attack Triple H, the game takes a Stone Cold Stunner, so there goes Hunter's chances of attacking Austin with his sledgehammer. Raw ends with the 2001 Royal Rumble winner celebrating with a few beers, and that's another week of Reliving the War in the books. I didn't think much of either show this week, if I'm totally honest. For a Fallout show, Raw didn't have much to offer, and we've gone immediately into that Royal Rumble to WrestleMania state of limbo, but things will improve before No Way Out. Nitro felt like a replay from last week, and look, I like Kevin Nash more than others, but I don't care to see him in another pay-per-view main event at this point. But I guess the uncertainty surrounding the WCW sale is making the creative team just throw any old shit together without much care. I'm giving the point to Raw this week, meaning Raw is on 162 points, Nitro's on 82, and I don't see that changing either. 25 ties are still on the board, and this week Raw scored a 5.6 in the TV ratings, while Nitro scored a 2.1. This is the highest rating the WWF would get from now until the end of the war. Next week on Raw, Steve Blackman's back in action against Val Venus. Hell yeah. Undertaker takes on the Manly Man Challenge when he faces Haku, and we learn about some No Way Out matches that could lead to big changes for WrestleMania 17. On Nitro, Diamond Dallas Page runs into a few issues with the cops. Ric Flair invites Dustin Rhodes back to Nitro, and Flair wants Dustin to join his team with no name, and Road Warrior Animal's gonna be in action. It's easy to forget this guy was a focal point of our last WCW pay-per-view, but who cares, right? Thank you very much for watching, folks. Enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you all next week. Please take care.